they do say a lot that not a lot of people read. Like it's the running joke that these bitches don't read.
Hey guys, this is what it is. This is what it is. It's very Japanese stuff. This is very Japanese stuff. She doesn't take compliment at all. This is what Japanese stuff do. So basically, she's just humbly not
Yeah.
accepting.
So Japanese.
Exactly.
Hey,
Exactly.
come on.
You're starting from zero. It could be in love. It could be in work. It could be in a passion or a pursuit. What matters is the hero's journey and that process. Welcome you guys to another episode of Raisin Bread. You're probably noticing there's a lot more females energy here than usual. Usually it's just a bunch of guys, or if we're lucky, Tomo-chan will grace us with her presence. But there's a reason for it. It's because today's guests are a group of gals and guys that I am really fond of. They're part of a network. What's the larger network you guys are part of? What's it called?
So
Yeah.
it's called TWAL, TWAL, TWAL,
Which stands
and that's
for
how Tomomi, Waki, Andika, Lupa.
Okay. So you're not part of a formal anime girl podcast like collective or anything like that.
No, we are TWAL, and with TWAL, inside of TWAL, we have both Anime Girl and we have CMC, Creator Meets Creator. So everything is inside of TWAL.
Interesting. Okay. So it's creator meets creator, and it's TWAL. And we can figure you can explain to me what those things are first. But if we could go around and just people tell whom they are, we'll start with you, Lupa, if that's okay.
Yes, so my name is Lupa Batista Gomez Sitabi. I am 23 years old. I am from Brazil, and I am the youngest member of TWAL, of Anime Girl.
じゃあ言うね。私は脇です。名前は鳥居脇です。日本の神奈川県に住んでいます。で、ゲーム、ソーシャルゲームかな。携帯の使うね、そのゲームのシナリオライターをやっています。で、会社の仕事もやっています。で、アニメガールとCMC で、とても楽しい時間を過ごしています。I really love the people that we are gathering around in their clubhouse, and Tomomi, Lupa, Rika-san, and now Oliver. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it to invite me, having me here. So, thanks.
Tomo-chan, you're next.
Oh, thank you. So, hi, I'm Tomomi. You can call me Momo. And, currently I work for, Japanese universities, colleges as a Japanese teacher and also, program coordinator, those exchange programs. And my biggest interest is, anime, manga, gaming. And sometimes I do cosplay stuff. That's me, I think. There you go.
Last
Shout
but not
out to
least, my favorite person, one of my favorite people in the whole world who can't use technology but also can use technology at the same time.
All right.
The Lord of all.
All right. That's a good introduction.
One
All
for
right.
all. All for
Astaghfirullah.
one.
Oh man, don't put some pressure on me.
Who is this
Don't
man?
put some pressure on me
That's
like that.
absolute hype up.
Hello. Yeah, see, you see me are surrounded by these ladies.
Oni-chan.
Always put me in some pressure. You know what I'm saying?
Oni-chan.
But yeah, hello.
Yeah, relax.
My name is Dika. I'm Indonesian. Live in Japan. Kanagawa Ken. Same as Waki-san.
There you go.
Same. I'm just kaishain, or you can say office worker. But I also do many stuff like photography and pop cultures. My life is all pop cultures. I raised in America for a bit, and American pop culture and Japanese pop culture
Okay.
at the same time is my forte. And nice to meet you.
So there's a reason why I invited all these people here. If you don't know me, I'm a huge anime fan. It's the reason why we've got people like Goda-san last time, which by the way, a lot of people love that podcast. A lot of people have been searching for that podcast. It is our second best performing podcast of all time. People are really just interested in anime and in Japanese creators. And we're really lucky to have these guys here with us today because I'm going to be honest with you. If I've never met a group more knowledgeable and more just kind and more polite and more welcoming than these gals and guy. This is the group. I'm going to just give a quick rundown. These ladies do a weekly podcast. They do it on an app called Clubhouse. I wish they didn't, but that's a different conversation because they're too good for it. And I want the whole world to see them. So
we have plans. We have
yes.
plans
Good.
on switching platforms. We do
Good.
want to try out Twitter Spaces. Some people told us to try Twitter Spaces as well. But we need to know if people are interested to see us there. We can't just do a switch without knowing if people would have any interesting to pop up there. So
let me tell you something real quick about my own experiences. I don't think anyone should ever be interested in anything that I have to say ever. However, people do for some reason. So what I've learned, at least in my personal experience, when it comes to the context of creation, is if you build it, they will come. And with you guys in particular, with the Anime Girl Network, you built it and I came. I had no idea. I used to be on an app I'm still kind of sometimes on this app. There's an app called Clubhouse. If you guys don't know what it is, it's an audio application. And it allows people to sort of communicate live stream podcast style. And I didn't know about these ladies. I didn't know about their podcast. I just walked in. I saw one of their titles, something probably cool, like, what's your favorite, anime this fall, or what's the best Christmas anime, or one of their interesting topics. And I walked in, and I go every week, and I can't emphasize how big of a deal that is, because I hate Clubhouse so much. I hate that app so much, but every week I will come just so I can listen to these gals talk about anime. So if you can sign up for Clubhouse, follow their Twitters, some amazing conversations that I don't get to have really with 99% of the fan base, to be honest with you. I don't think most people are as caught up as you guys. What do you guys think?
Well, man,
I don't
to be
think
honest,
we're that caught up.
no,
I
man.
don't think so.
We all.
I know. Hey, but Lupa, you
think-
must understand. Sometimes when you look back, wait, let me finish. You need to understand that in privilege, because I work with my friends. I a lot of friends here in Japan that they are from the industry. They are doing the stuff right from studios, doing the anime for Netflix and. And then when I casually mention, yeah, man, I'm gonna hang out with the Soejima-san this Friday with my friends. It's like the other time when we go to Ikebukuro, right? And he always mentioned to me, Dika, you don't understand how much of a god he is. So
He is.
yeah,
But
man, but that's what Oliver said. That's what Oliver said. So I mean, to perspective, we are leading because we tap into some peoples that not usually accessible by people from abroad. You don't know these guys at all usually, but we are like, hey man, let's go, let's walking on taking cookies. You know what I'm saying? So to the degree we lead in Japanese.
But I do realize that we're very privileged in
we are just lucky, we encountered, some miracle from the industry, right? Through the clubhouse.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's kind of bringing to the new people to the club, right?
But that's what Oliver
So I want to
said.
hear what Lupa, if you want to finish what you were going to say real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I understand it, and I do think we're super lucky. I think first of all, the fact that we have Waki-san, we're extremely lucky for that. Let's start with that
Yeah.
tiny little
That's
fact
true.
that this woman
That's
is
true.
the reason
Fact.
of our existence alongside Tomomi-san. Like
True.
without these two, we ruined. But I meant more like that we're not updated, as in like most of us don't like new works as much.
Oh, man, that's true.
And like when it comes to talking about new works, we mostly get or info from our fellow members, from like the rest of the people that come hang with us and stuff. We mostly like the older stuff, and even for me, the new stuff that I get into, I mostly read. I don't watch. So like, for example, this season, I'm only keeping up with like I think a single anime. Like that's it, which is Buddy Daddies. That's everything I'm keeping up with this season. So that's what it's the homosexual subtext. Okay, I can't ignore it.
All right.
Can't help it. It's
Yeah, here goes.
it's
Here
the
goes.
mucho
That's
in
not
me.
why I watch.
Here
That's not
goes.
why I watch it. But
Yo,
yep.
Here goes.
It
Here
it's
goes.
there.
Yeah, you asked her, right?
But
Hey, man, I
I
gotta
do
say, I
think
gotta say.
that because of you know me, you've known me for almost 2 years. You should have understood. You should have known. Astaghfirullah for y'all.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing though. Like Lupa, you might say that, but like, how many people from I think the regular fandom do I get to talk to about Don with? You are the only person I've ever met on like in the spaces that we hang out in who actually has an idea of what I'm talking about. Right, when I mentioned that title,
And
or that who knows what Shonen Jump titles are coming up, or have what Shonen Jump titles have been dropped. Like you guys have to admit that you do possess an above average knowledge when it comes to these
can't
things.
lie, yeah. But it's that thing that I mentioned as well, is the fact that I read a lot, and actually all four of us are readers. All four of us read manga. All four of us keep up with a lot of works manga form. And I was even talking to someone from another major anime podcast, which is our older sister podcast, Animalytical. Great people, shout out to them. Like, I don't think we would even exist without them, because me and Dika and Tomomi actually met at Animalytical, and then because of the two of them, I entered Anime Girl, and we continued in that bubble. And then we met Waki-san, and at the time Yuki-san as well. But like even between them, they do say a lot that not a lot of people read. Like it's the running joke that these bitches don't read, and we do. So I think that's one of the reasons why we stay updated. But all of us are also very critical of the shit that we watch. Because we like, all of us are fan of classics. So we have very specific needs and very specific stuff that we look at that we're like, this doesn't scratch that good part of the brain that this old series did and stuff.
So you classify that, because I think I'm the same way. Besides Lupa, I think you're like violently young. You're like devastatingly young. Like, what are you?
You can just say that you're jealous of my age, my dude. I'm 24.
I'm not jealous of.
Wait, I'm
your
23.
age,
I'm turning 20. I'm turning 20. Turning 24.
When do you turn 24?
October.
Okay, so you're 23. So
I'm 23. I'm from 99. I'm actually younger than Waki-san's youngest boy.
That's adorable. Yeah. So you're 23. You got the new car smell, but
Not
you're
the new cars.
but
Astaghfirullah.
but you're like, because like I was the same way when I was your age, but
Oh,
in all
shoes.
seriousness, when I was like 20, when I was 23, that was the same kind of way I felt, and I think that's what makes you guys interesting. Like so I used to be a DJ, right? I know. And yeah, send your tweets now. I used to be a DJ. Music's a big deal to me. Anime is a big deal to me. And I think when you really, really love a craft and you really, really love an art form, and I see this, by the way, a lot in Waki-san and in Andaka in particular, is like the way you sort of express your love is different. And one thing that I think all of you have in common is this like taste maker mindset. And what I mean by that is that if I want to know what's cool or what's coming down, like if I want to watch a new anime, I go to Waki every time. Every time. Like it does it, I always go, I want to know what she's watching. And the same could be said of any of the rest of you, because we're all kind of, well, except for Andika, who watches nothing except for Bleach. Shots fired. Yeah, that's right.
I feel
Uh,
attacked.
And
I
he's
feel
right.
and you
attacked.
should.
And he's
You
right.
should feel
Feel
attacked.
And he's right,
attacked.
because Bleach is the shit. Bleach is the shit.
It is
Bleach is
great.
good as
It is
fuck.
great. It's great. But animes have come out since 2005. Andika, I'm just letting you know. So just in case maybe you weren't aware. So so no.
Man, yo, you
So this
attack
is
me like
something that I
this. Yo, Habibi, you attack me like this, boy. Oh my lord, oh lord. Come on.
listen, listen. Listen here, you. No, in all seriousness, when I want to know about something good, I go to you guys. And I'm wondering, is that where do you guys think that comes from? Like from each of you, I'm curious. Like, is it just because you've watched anime for years? Is it because like there's an intrinsic understanding of what's good, what's not good? Where do you think that ability to determine what's sort of the next thing
そうだね。
comes from?
Just follow your instinct, right?
What do you mean? Go on about that.
I guess.
Yeah, good. No, like Andika, right? Do you understand me, right? Just follow your own instinct. It's what's good for you, what's not good for you. We know our taste. No?
Yeah, I guess to put it more cool and deliberate, basically we are just watching too much shit. In the span of our life, basically, right? Lupa and me have the same background. We are really active in the pop culture scene in our own country. Lupa is in Indonesia, and I'm privileged enough to be able to touch in the animecon industry in Southeast Asia, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, most particularly. And I work as a photographer back in the day. I just like need some uh, money to pay some bills. You know what I'm saying, right? And but turns out my baito or my site slinging is just to be able to tap in that anime industry. And by get in touch into anime industry in many years, like I done the side gigs for like 8 years or 10 years, basically. I went start in
Wow.
Daigaku, and I finish it, and I still doing it sometimes when I was still in the banking industry, because it's always in the weekend, right? So on weekend, I just fly to Singapore casually to take a shot and get back in the Monday back to the bank. That's how I do it. But getting
Wow.
in touch with that real creative, like I basically why I know
Ah.
Soejima-san before, because of this, because I
Who
found
is
him in
Is the
Soejima-san?
Singapore.
director of the
Who is
JoJo.
Soejima-san? Explain
So
to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Soejima-san is like our regular customer in this podcast.
Kami.
And he's he's if I can simply put, if I mean a Westerner, no, I guess nowadays now no JoJo, right? He's the animation director to some degree in that JoJo, and many other lovable titles you might
Breaking.
know. This guy, now the last thing he did, I guess, Alamu, the Invader Girl, or Urusei Yatsura, uh, yeah, in the opening, he did that colors burst and shit. He's
Oh wow, I didn't know
yeah,
that. Holy crap, that's amazing.
he's the shit, man. He's the man, but he's always so humble. But I found this guy actually. We casually, Dika-san, you've seen Singapore, right? Are you in Singapore? You're talking your story. It's like it's AFA. Yes, I'm in AFA. It's one of the brand is Anime Festival Asia, if you know. So he's one of panelists at that time. He's so different right now. He's like a bikers, like handsome bikers with a ponytail. Back in the day, he's like super salaryman. That's like I not recognize him at all. Is this you? And yeah. It's like, so that's why I'm just like, oh yeah, sure, man. And we talk about that, and turns out when I have you know this kind of experience, put a leeway to know which is good, which is bad, because I can see the consumer perspective on it, right? I can see the producer side of it. They want to produce this, and I can see the market response too, because I see like the fans coming in hot, right? Which one is like what fans love, and which brand is like have a long term lifespan. Like at that time, if you know Love Life, Rabu Raibu, it's like it's been there like 2010, 2012, I forgot, and then it still expand until 2018. Crazy. So even now, it's not as big as before, but it's even now for an IP to ever to be able groveling and take financial value from fans is that long span. It's something. So to be able, set my mind, my fan mind, and my business mind in a space that I love, it's a privilege. That's how I get, pick. That's how that's the instinct that Tomomi said. It's just like your lifespan of enjoying this shit. It's just make you already know which is you like, which is not. And we are professional to a degree in this our own spaces, and we navigate our professional life or a previous experience to navigate a piece or art or sakuhin that we like or title that we like. That's I guess that's how we navigate spaces. I don't know about Lupa though because he's so fucking young. I don't know how's that work for her. Uh,
I have no
but
idea. I have no idea what Lupa thinks.
that's
I
how
mean,
it
she's
is.
so young. She's so young, so dumb. Like, what could she possibly know? What could she possibly know?
Exactly. Like, I hate
That's not
that
what
this
I
has.
mean. That's not what I mean.
I know.
Let me
We
explain.
know,
Let
we
me one
know.
more time. Let me
But
explain.
it's
I'm kidding.
my
Let me
age.
explain.
My age
Because
has
if you
become a
follow us,
reoccurring thing on this.
if you guys follow us, if you guys follow us, in the podcast or shit, you will know this girl is our Pokédex. This girl is our Pokédex. It's like
She
whenever shit's
is.
happening, when and you should, I'm just like ask ketchup, no nothing, and like, hey, this is new Pokemon. Like, oh, okay, okay. That's my hey, I gotta. That's that's the thing I don't understand.
Um,
See, so I
That's so
appreciate
true.
Lupa. I appreciate Lupa. That's what it is. Because of me, Waki, and Tomomi, we are experienced. We are seasoned veteran. And this Waki and Tomomi is in Japan. I just knew in Japan, but I have a privilege working with Japanese content. But this girl, I don't know if she's fucking young, but she's know every fucking thing. So yeah, man, that's how it is.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. I totally understand that. It's very upsetting for us old timers who had to build our taste over time. Not to become an old man, but back in my day, Lupa, you had to wait for Shonen Jump. You had to wait a whole week, and you had to wait until they translated it into English, and that was another week. So you'd be behind everyone in Japan.
my
And so you
brother
try
in
to talk to
Christ.
your
My brother in Christ.
Yes.
I am Brazilian.
Yeah.
I had to wait until they
Yes.
translated it to Portuguese. I had to go hidden
Yeah.
on my uncle's computer to read manga
Yeah.
at the age of 9
That's
and 10.
questionable.
We didn't have
Yeah.
official translations at the time because I wasn't allowed. My family was extremely Christian, so I wasn't allowed to read a bunch of stuff.
Okay, we're gonna come back to that because I used to have a bunch of pictures of anime in my mom's room. In my room, it's my mom's place.
I didn't
Yeah.
have that.
Well, my mom would come in and she would say in Arabic, and Andy, you might know what I mean, but she would say, al shawatin, which in Arabic means, the servants of the devil. Is every time she saw my anime posters. And I didn't have, and
Astaghfirullah.
yeah, she's just like, and exactly,
Yani,
she would be
yani,
like,
mashallah.
yeah, she'd be like,
Mashallah.
like,
今ちょっとわかんなかった。うん。
so Waki-san, my yeah, can you translate Tomo-chan? What just yeah.
OK、ガジ。ね、オリバーさんの、そのね、家ではね、今、ルパちゃんが子供の時ね、なかなかその少年ジャンプとかで、届くのも遅いし、しかもそれがトランスレート、ポルチギースにされるのも時間がかかっちゃう。から結局、若くても、オリバーとかみたいに、こう、待ってた時代と同じだよって言ってて、でも、オリバーの時はお母さんが、こう、漫画のポスターとか壁に貼ってたら、うわ、これは悪魔の使いの顔だ
My mom
言っ
and
た
my
って
parents
いう。
really, really hard
Oh
to
my god.
to reading manga stuff. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and
I had an experience with my parents. Yeah.
I guess.
Well, Waki-san, you I relate to the most because I feel like the eras because like I feel like the eras maybe we grew up are the eras we grew up are indifferent. And by the way, real quick aside, let me look at the camera real quick. Don't be fooled by this adorable face.
No.
She knows everything, like everything about when it comes. Like if you want to know anything about Cowboy
Waki-san, that's
Bebop
true.
or just anime, like if you want to know Shinichiro Watanabe, if you want to know about him, the woman's like an
Her
encyclopedia.
cute face is a
Don't be
lie.
fooled.
Is a lie.
Don't be fooled. So
It's
it's
a
a lie.
trick.
It is a lie. It is a lie. She's incredibly sharp. So
Waki-san is
I just want
amazing at all areas. She is incredible. Every single moment that I can compliment this woman, I will. She is
100%.
She is
So Waki-san,
Ne-chan for a reason. You know, she's Ne-chan for a reason.
Waki-san, I actually wanted to hear from you, like what, because you're interesting in that people, if you don't know this, Waki is a writer. And from what I've heard, because she doesn't share this to people, she's a goddamn good one. And I'm wondering if your writing process, you know, we've kind of gone around the group to see how people have sort of formed their taste. I'm wondering if you, as a writer, have developed your taste in that manner, or whether you've developed your taste organically like everybody else, and you've just kind of fused it with your understanding of the art form as you've developed your own craft and your own skills. And Tomo, I'm going to need your assist on that. You're my Scottie Pippen this episode, Tomo. So, yeah.
ガジ。ね、そう、脇さんはね、あんまりその自分から言うことはないけれども、とても優れたシナリオライターであると聞いてるし、分かってると。で、脇さんがご自身でそのシナリオとか書かれるとき、その、どういうふうにそのお話が進むかとか、ワールドのその設定とか、そういったものって、その漫画とかアニメのことでもね、そういうこと考えるじゃないですか、見る方でも。そういってどういうふうな影響があったりしますか？
小さい頃からって言っても中学生ぐらいかな、そのアニメ見出して、ずっと前から漫画を読んでるのね。で、ただ、なかなかね、やっぱり、お母さんやお父さんそうでもなかった。お母さんむちゃむちゃ厳しかったので、学校から帰ってきたら、隠しといた漫画全部捨てられるとか、もうしょっちゅうだったのね。で、それが、うちのお母さんはやっぱりとっても、敬虔なね、カトリックのクリスチャンなんだけれども、で、もちろん私もね、本当に日本では数少ないクリスチャンっていう親なんだけれども、ね、漫画は、ね、悪魔のものだからってさっきね、ね、オリバーがお母さんに言われたって言ってるのと同じこと、全く同じこと言われたし、ね、ただ、漫画じゃなくて本 本だったらいくら読んでても怒られなかったのね。で、本を読むことを覚えたし、本の面白さ分かったし、で、ただ漫画も好きだなってあったから、もう隠れて読んだし、だから本当にルカがやってること、その読むことを、ね、私すごく、アンダースタンドなんだけれども、要はもう本当に読みたくて、本も読みたいし、漫画も読みたいし、ね、そういう本っていうか小説とかエッセイとかいろんなものだけれども、もうとにかくもう読んで読みまくってたわけ。で、中学生ぐらいの時に、本格的にアニメを見出会ったのが、その、ナウシカとか、幻魔大戦とか、クラッシャー城とか、そのあたりね。で、そこからですよ。ベースオンのアニメージュですね。アニメージュっていう、マガジンがあるんだけれども、そこから、いわゆるアニメオタクっていうね、カテゴリーに私は入っていって、で、その文脈でもうそこからもうすでにもういろんな日本の、アニメとか漫画文化っていうのはもう70年代ぐらいにはもう結構確立してたし、少女漫画特にね。うん。で、そこから学んだものがいっぱいいっぱい。そこから、そこから来たものが。
はい、そこまでだ。
Yeah, so Waki-san said, of course, anime manga had a big impact, and especially, you said she is a scenario writer, and for her work, the manga stuff really influencing. And she said, her mom was really strict, the Christian, so same as like your mom. So as a kid, she had to hide to read manga, but she did. But her mom was, was really, encourage her to read books. That's also, kind of educate her a lot. And when she went into the middle school, where she started her otaku life, started watching Hayao Miyazaki's Ballet of Nausicaa stuff and buying anime-related magazines. That's really, start of her otaku life. That's what she said so far.
I really love that because maybe that's why I connect with you so much, Waki, is because that's exactly how my life was. My parents were very concerned about school. I said I'm a first generation immigrant. So the only thing that matters is grades, like nothing else. Grades and rankings. That's all that matters to my parents. And so they let the anime stuff happen as long as the rankings were good. If the rankings were good, then they let me do what I want. But like you, it was sort of middle school where I started making different types of friends, and I had friends who were like, who watched what I watched. I was like, oh, I'm watching this thing called Trigun, but no one's ever heard of it. And then you hear one person pop up and going, Trigun? You watch Trigun, right? And that's how you become friends. And that's how I went to my first anime convention. I think I was 12 years old, because my friend's big brother took us. And like you, my mother. So I didn't know English for a really long time. A lot of people don't believe this, but my English was terrible for years. My English was so terrible, they had to hire somebody to like train me because I needed a speech therapist. That's how bad my English was. And so in order to counter that, my mom made me read everything. Like I read constantly. So yeah, your story is really relatable. It's very relatable.
And
次はともみやんな。
It's hi.
I don't know. I think Waki-san wanna talk about how she built up her scenario stuff, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of middle, right?
very short
Continue, Waki-san.
そうだね。
ね、アニメが、大丈夫よね。アニメがどういうふうに脇さんの今の仕事にね、関わってきたとか。
表現とか、アニメの表現とかから、やっぱりいろんな、影響を受けてる。その書くものに対して。だけど私がそのシナリオライターの仕事始めたのって、子供を育てるのがちょっと一段落してからなのね。 それまでは自分のそのクリエイターサイドには関わってなかったの、何にも。で、うん。じゃあ一回ここまでにしようか。一回ここまでにしようか。
She said she learned, how to express how to make storyline stuff from books and comics she read. And she started working as a scenario writer when her child kind of grew up. So, it wasn't her first job or anything. She was doing different job before her kids are small,
What's a
was kind of
scenario
small.
writer? Let's
That's
explain that to
interesting.
Writer of
people.
the
What is a scenario writer?
social game. Yeah, I mean, the social game is mean the game of the
どん
game
な、
apps on the 携帯、なんつったらいいのiPhone とか、Android、yeah, mobile game using the mobile phone. Yeah, it's now, yeah, game
モバイルゲー
industry's
ム。
trend is moving to the social game, and there it's really easy to なんだ to play it and その隙間時間で遊ぶことができるので、それですごくお金を稼ぐのね。で、ゴーダさんたちがやってるみたいな、もう、なんだ、コンシューマーゲームか。コンシューマーゲームはもうトレンドじゃなくなってるの、実は。で、そこはもう PC のゲームの方にもう移っているし、で、ゴーダさんそれ知ってるから多分 PC の方のゲーム、今ね、多分手掛けてるって話してたと思うんだけれども、そっちの方はそっちの方でものすごく、なんだろう、違う人間が作ってる感じ。I am working in the game industry also as a Goda-san, but it's really different because he is working as a manager じゃないや、producer, as a producer, I think he works to the
And can you remind the audience who
Goda-san,
Goda-san is?
sorry,
Waki?
Goda-san
Sorry
is
to
a
interrupt.
game producer is from one of the his famous one is maybe and Tales of Vesperia, I think. Yeah. Then yeah. Yeah, God Eater, yeah, God Eater. It's familiar for me that figure. Tales series, I love it, but yeah, of course,
Yeah,
the
and
God
God
Eater.
Eater.
Yeah.
God
Then he
Eater.
is really なんつったらいいのラディカル、なんだっけ、ラジカルに考える人だよね。すごく、マネージャブルっていうか、なんか、クリエイターっていうよりもマネージャーみたいな感じって言ったらいいのかな。そのマネージャーっていう言い方変だけど、その、プロデューサーとかエ
I
グ
agree with
ゼ
that,
ク
by
テ
the
ィブ
way.
プロデューサーとか、なんかそういうちょっと上の人が、この現場のクリエイターさんをまとめてその、コンシューマーゲーム作ってる感じがするの、ゴーダさんは。だけど、私がやってる、ソシャゲって言われてソーシャルゲーム何かって言ったら、そのガチャで課金するようなね。で、そこで収益を出してる、本当にゲームアプリ。で、そのガチャで発生する、本当にね、メインのストーリーじゃない、その、ガチャでゲットする SS じゃなくて A じゃなくて B じゃなくてみたいなランクがあるわけで。そのランクのそれぞれのキャラクターにも一つ一つストーリーをつけなきゃいけないっていうものすごい大きな、膨大なね、シナリオライトの、仕事が発生するんですよ。で、それをいちいち、例えばメインのゲームの会社は、そこまで手を回さずに、下請けに出すのね。で、そこで受けた人たちが、また、その小さなグループ、シナリオライターのグループたちに、トライアウトしてみないって声をかけて、で、トライ、コンペティションをするのかな Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Then, それ
Trial and
で、
error.
それで選ばれた人たちが、そこで契約を結べるのね、メイキングで。やっと契約を結んで、で、その小さなね、パートを書き上げて、納品したら終わり。で、また仕事探さなきゃいけないっていう、すごくアンステーブルなジョブでございますけれども、それを書くのに必要なことは、 さっき言ったところで全部私は学んできたのね。で、だけど、私の、自分のクリエイティビティを発揮できるかって言ったら、実はソーシャルゲームのシナリオライターにはそれは実は求められてなくて、非常にね、ストレスフルだけれども、でも、自分がやりたいことで書くシナリオは、もう本当に自分のどこで発表するかっていうのはちょっとね、いろんなタイミングによるんだけれども、今も一つオーディオドラマを抱えているけれども、それがうまくいけば、もうちょっと。
So Waki-san kind of explaining, what actually she is doing as a scenario writer. She said, she is working for the game, especially for the mobile game stuff. And the game has those loot box system. And there are so many loot box system in the game. So each loot box happens, someone has to think the story behind of it, right? So Wakisan's job there is thinking of those small stories for each loot box system. Okay. And there are like so much competition between the writers. So even she, let's say if she writes one story for one loot box chance stuff, there are selection system and sometimes her stuff is not selected. That's what happened in the, life of scenario writer for the social game stuff here. But she said all the things she learned through anime, manga reading, that's really, she is using the knowledge and skills for her work right now. And still she is doing other work as a drama writer, audio drama writer, she said. So, she is really using her knowledge of manga, anime into her kind of dream job right now.
Yeah.
What do you not do, Waki?
何
Drama script writer.
いやいや、できないこといっぱいあるよ。へいへい。
何よ、他に何もできないことないんじゃないのって。
できないことだらけだから。
Hi.
No,
Yeah,
thank you. But still, I really don't know. I really
You
don't
are
know
so
things a
capable.
lot of in the world. So, I mean, なんだろうな。My curiosity is that I think motivate to get to know something new. Always, for me, it's my curiosity. The heart of curiosity って言ったらいいのかな。It's forced me. It's I say this the kind of this. It's なんだろうな。forced me っていうのはね。
Hey, guys, this is what it is. This is what it is. It's very Japanese stuff. This is very Japanese stuff. She doesn't take compliment at all. This is what Japanese stuff do. So basically, she's just humbly not accepting.
Exactly.
Hey, come on.
Exactly.
Cut
That's
the
why I
bull
love
crap.
Andi.
Cut the bull crap and accept.
Jesus.
You are super capable.
Jesus.
Come on.
Just
Exactly.
take it.
God
We
dang.
like you.
We love
dang.
you.
You're good at
You
what
are
you do.
amazing. Accept.
God damn. Come on.
Accept it.
I know. Yeah, I know.
It's just like we like you.
She's always
Don't test my
she
Yeah.
does
patience.
this all the
Don't-
time.
don't-
By the way,
Don't test my patience. Don't test my
Go on, go.
patience on this. I already suffer. I was like, oh my God, Jesus.
we love you.
I don't know. It's just.
But one thing she said,
Yes.
I think
Yes.
one thing is really important.
Yes.
No, she said,
Yes.
curiosity drives her.
Yeah.
That's what she said. That's lovely saying,
But
right?
just one
That's
thing.
a great.
Just
That's a
one
great.
thing
Yeah,
that
no,
I have to add. Just one thing I have to add.
どうぞください。どうぞください。
で、
But
私の年ぐらいのオタクの人たちって、もう新しい作品を見なくなっちゃってるのよ。だけど、私は昔のね、ビッグタイトルも好きだけれども、今作られてる作品もすごく見たいし、技術がものすごくね、アップデートしてるものにワクワクしてるから、だから私は今のアニメの話もルパちゃんやね、みんなとしたいけれども、でももちろんオールドスクールのリカさんとも昔のアニメの話をしたい。そういう感じ。今、私は本当そういう感じ。以上です。ごめん、ありがとう。
that's
Yes.
the main
Yeah.
difference. That's the main difference that me and Waki-san. She would say I always updating because I always curious about new stuff. I'm sorry, boys and girls. This Indonesian doesn't update much. Like previously say, I only watch Bleach this season. But thank God I add one. I add one more. The new Gundam. The new Gundam is
Mhm.
interesting, and I don't know why.
Ah,
I don't know why in the West it's super low key, but yo man, if you watch anime and love
It's
Gundam,
a,
you get to check out
Good.
the Witch from Mercury stuff.
look,
This is good.
look,
This is good.
look, look,
Hey, see,
look,
I watched
Annika.
something new.
As a
Hey,
group, I think I'm speaking
don't
for
do
the
it
group
like
here.
don't
We're proud
disrespect
of
me. I
you.
watched something
We
new.
support you through this new transition that you're going through
wow.
of watching an anime. Yeah, look at that applause. That's how much we support you. Wonderful, wonderful.
So, pachi, 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 pachi for you.
I'm crying right now.
The the
I'm so proud of
so
you.
see guys,
I'm so
guys,
proud of you.
this is what I face every goddamn day with this group. Everybody updating some stuff.
Yep,
I just love anime,
absolutely,
all right? And this,
absolutely,
with addition of
absolutely.
Oliver,
And
they dishing
yeah,
me
no, it's gonna keep happening.
every day, but I love them so much.
Steal
God
as
bless, God
to
bless.
quote the
You
great Sir
deserve
Arthur
it.
Conan Doyle, the writer of Sherlock Holmes. Steal your mind, Holmes, because it's a coming. But I wanted to go into something really interesting. That I mean, you guys have kind of gone into very different paths, but you've talked about anime sort of in your personal lives. I would be curious to think what you guys think. We've gone from tastemakers to what it sort of does in your own life. What do you think? What do you think of? Because you guys don't just watch anime, you don't just consume anime. As Andika mentioned at the sort of top of the podcast, in many of you, actually, I think all of you, I think Lupa even included, are involved in the industry in some respect, right? And so it's not that you guys just only possess a knowledge of what's good, or what you
Yep.
guys have good taste or what have you. What do you guys think? I want to get a sense of what your guys' pulse is, or what finger you might have on the pulses of sort of the industry. Like how are what's going on with anime right now? Like how do you what do you think that are the key factors, especially today, that are contributing to the success of the anime series that we're seeing right now? So, for example, Lupa-san, or Lupa, Loop de Loop, as I like to call her, mentioned we don't. A lot of us here are kind of grizzled, and we don't necessarily like what comes out every day. So, how do you determine, or how do you determine that something is successful, or what are some key factors you think contribute to the success today to an anime series, from both not just a creative standpoint but a business perspective? And then I'd like to hear also your current, like what each of you sort of thinks of the current overall state of the anime industry is, and what the health is right now. So
I'm not, working in the anime industry or any related. I'm just a fan, and I just happen to be in the anime girl circle as a translator, kinda. Cause I love to connect, anime fans to fans, and also fan and creators. That's, really, that's my pleasure to do.
That is a
Yeah.
lie. That is a lie.
That's
You
a
are a
lie.
cosplayer.
Yeah, like Luca mentioned, I love to go cons and meeting cosplayers, seeing people in person, actually creators in person. That's, something I love to do. And I don't know, recent success of anime industry growing. I think the part of reason is the audience is also, getting more knowledgeable, being knowledgeable. Audience is growing and the industry is growing. That's the reason. Many people are now, seeing anime as a culture, right? Not just, the cartoonish stuff. Also, people are really actually getting history and the, other aspect, those stuff. And also the industry, they are try to expand their business. So going on the streaming or those digital comic stuff. So, everything growing. That's the, one big reason anime is really successful
That's
right
a
now.
great
And I think
assessment.
it's
What about you,
healthy,
Loopy?
much healthier environment right now. No?
So personally, I also agree a lot with what Tomi-san said about the audience growing, but I also think it's because the anime industry left Japan as well. So we always have known that since the 80s and the 90s, not only Japan but also the US and Europe have outsourced a lot of their animation from Southeast Asia, especially the Philippines and Indonesia. You have great studios there of people being paid even less than the Japanese animators, making a lot of these stuff work. Same happened with a lot of Chinese and a lot of Korean animators. But what happened was that these industry, like the anime industry, it forwarded a motion of, hey, we also have great writers. We also have great storytelling. We also have great stories that we want to tell in our countries. So, and we know how to do it because we've been doing it for you for years. We've been making your movies, we've been making your CGI for years. So why can't we do it? So, you have had in all of Asia a recent boom of animation.
Correct.
If you look at it now, actually, Korean webtoons, some of them are getting more views than actual Japanese works, because they're a lot more accessible. You have Chinese works getting amazing repercussion. Like I'm over here drinking from my cup that is literally from a Chinese novel that was translated to Portuguese recently, and it was literally one of the first novels that I saw. We have a bunch of really famous Japanese light novels that still haven't been translated to my language yet, while this Chinese work has. Like, you have major animators and major directors coming from both Indonesia and from the Philippines that were like, hey, we did great work for you, now we're going to do our work as well. And I feel like that has been such a boom as well, because there was always also this bad connection of it's Japanese, and liking it or not, there is a little bit of a historical, like stop. Yeah, like Antika-san probably knows this. I don't know if your grandma was like this, but I have friends of mine whose grandmas were like, you're not allowed to watch anything Japanese. Like it's not allowed. Like it's Japanese. I don't want you watching this. I don't know if that happened with your family, but I have Filipino friends and Korean friends and Chinese friends whose grandmas and great grandpas just didn't allow it.
Right.
But now you have a lot more, and because it's so accessible, it's in the palm of your hand. You have Shonen Jump has their own app. Like you have distribution systems now. You have Netflix has anime, Disney Plus has anime. Um, you have Crunchyroll. You have all these ways of accessing anime, and you have so much animation being produced in so many places that people are starting to take this as a serious industry, because they're like, oh, it's
Billions.
not only a little weird Japanese thing. It's a $1 billion industry that makes content. It's billions. It's worth billion. The animation industry, the Asian animation industry is worth billions, absolute billions. And it's an industry that makes content for little children, which is when I started watching anime with Hamtaro as a 2-year-old child, to me now being a 24-year-old watching animations about working in an office, about my job because I'm an English teacher, uh, uh, and even older people, getting people older than me also seeing things that they watched in their childhood being reanimated and getting a new color and becoming something bigger. So like I think it's a lot bigger than people imagine. Like how big the anime industry got, it there is a lot more
Can I say
running.
something real
Like
quick?
this tree
This is why
has a lot
this is
deeper
why you
roots
infuriate me,
than people
because
imagine that it
that was
does.
such a great
So
insight. Like you get to be smart. You can't be smart and cute. It's really I think it's really disrespectful to the rest of us. And so if you could just tone it, I'm just kidding. No, I'm serious. I'm serious though. That's I mean that's why you're on the show. Like go on. No, go on. Let her finish, Dika. Let her finish real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
No,
Yeah,
no, no. I like
I
like
do want to give. I do want to give a major
like.
shout out.
All right, all right.
I do want to give a major shout out right now to literally the three people standing here with me in this room that actually made me research and look up and read a lot of stuff that was older. That, like, again, just like you, Oliver, I every time Waki-san recommends something, I'm like, well, let me go read that. That might be interesting. But also, I want to give a major, major shout out to my mom, Rabia, my Mrs. Satabi. I don't think you have seen her in the podcast, but she used to come by in the younger days because of the time difference. She's in Europe right now. But she literally is the person that got me inside of the industry, working with the convention and directly with authors and with artists and stuff. And she actually was the one that sat me down and was like, hey, it's all fun and games if you want to watch it and if you want to know about this content. But if you want to work behind the scenes, there's some stuff you need to know. And here's what you need to know. Like, Southeast Asia is actually the backbone of what makes this work. Filipino and Indonesian animators are literally the reason why this industry is standing. And Andika-san, you know this.
What's her name?
You've been there, you live there, and it's a reality. So this woman, she's Indian, by the way, so she taught me all of this. So for me, like
Rabia.
Rabia Sitabi,
shout
she's an amazing content creator.
Yeah,
she has worked for Netflix. She has worked for Crunchyroll. Yes, Rabia Sitabi. She is the best. She's so knowledgeable, and she's a pop culture expert. And she taught me all of this. So I can't be this young, cute, and smart person without her. So shout out.
True. And
To mom.
Your
Shout out to my
mom's
mom.
scary though. Your mom's scary because before I met, I talked to her. It's like I don't expect Indonesian pop culture is abroad, well known abroad, and she just come to me like, "Hey, Dika, you Indonesian, right? Yeah, I mean, Gundala is like our ancient pop culture stuff. It's like from the 80s and 90s." And she come in at me, Gundala, right? It's got movie, right? How's Mas Joko going? Joko Anwar is like one of the top directors in Indonesia, and he's working in pop culture a lot.
Who she's friends with.
And, yeah, and then it's like, how's Mas Joko going? Like, I mean, as Indonesian, I usually in the American space, nobody knows Indonesian stuff. But her mom is just pulling up and like, hey, casually mentioned one of the long-standing work in Indonesian pop culture that usually people doesn't know, and know the current director and hold
So
that
I have a
IP
question for you guys
and
because
propel it into the new era. And it's just
go
like,
on.
well, man, she's legit. And that's how it is. And by listening, hmm? No, by listening by Lupa, like spitting
No,
some
she's
facts. Now you know why
I mean, yeah, no,
she's
I mean,
our
for
Pokédex
2023, that
because
is
she's
very
the data house.
impressive. I think, to have
I mean,
this deep an understanding of the industry, which is why I hang out with you guys, right? Because it's not a surface level. I think what's wonderful about your guys' rooms and about your guys' spaces, especially if you guys decide to do Twitter spaces, is that it is a room that is both for people like me and just your casual. Like a casual can walk in and still feel really, really welcome. But if you want that sort of deeper knowledge, all you have to do is ask any of you a question, and you'll get that. And so I think that's where you guys provide real sort of value in terms of animate, in terms of anime fans. In terms of content creators, it's a totally different thing that you guys provide, which I think is really interesting. Have you what do you guys? How much of that is on purpose? Well, actually, could you go into it? Could you tell me what specifically how you guys specifically interact with creators?
It's Waki-san.
Yeah. They come to me, they come to us, right? We didn't, directly ask them to join. Usually, they just drop by, right? Like all famous people created just drop by our clubhouse room, and we made a connection and trust, and things are happening, keep happening, right?
So
Like,
basically,
not even.
Yeah, and
let
that and
me
I go on.
elaborate easily, dummy 101, how this happens. Basically, it start from okay, of course, Waki-san, right? And then Tomomi there also, and Lupa's there also. It start from Cowboy Bebop uh, conversation. All right, if you know Cowboy Bebop, it's legendary in the States or Europe or Western country, but in
And if you don't know, stop what you're doing right now. Stop watching this. Go watch it.
but in
Sorry, go on,
Japan,
Nandika.
but in
Yeah,
Japan,
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
really, really nobody knows kind of situation. If you talk like Cowboy Bebop, and like, if you have in the Western space, it's like everybody knows about this shit. Oh man, I love this shit. Oh shoot, like, right? But in Japan, it's really hard to get. No, I don't know Cowboy Bebop, and this is the only Japanese
Mm,
that speak in Cowboy Bebop. Like, oh, she knew after I live in Japan, it's like so bizarre. Oh, all the God title that I like put in the God's hood, it's nothing. In Japan, it's only
mm,
appreciated
mm,
by the producer
mm.
level, but not in people, you know, as a as a common people.
Well, so that's interesting. That's interesting. You guys have mentioned some people who aren't Indonesian. I'm certainly not Japanese, if you couldn't tell. You've mentioned all types of people from different places, and I'm wondering, like, I mean, Lupa, you mentioned your friend Rabia. What are these common motifs that are bringing all of us sort of around the world together? I think it's really interesting that all of us come from very different backgrounds and very different upbringings, and yet we are still drawn to the storytelling. And I'm curious, especially from the professional storytellers, but I do want to hear from all of you. It is what do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Why do you think a kid in Sao Paulo is reading haiku? Why is he excited for One Piece? Why is it here in Colombia? I can go downstairs and there's chicks everywhere with a noblesse oblige T-shirts.
I think it's easy,
Uh,
Oliver. It's easier for us to because it's all about what I see constantly in Japanese storytelling is Seicho Monogatari, or the theme of growing out from zero, and we just love to see the character evolving by each chapters and each going on, and you just want to, oh, come on boy, you know what I'm saying, right? That's kind of stuff.
uh,
And I grew up with the Batman or comic books also. It's very different than a Western counterpart. It's actually, the you get splats by something, and then like, you start the superheroes, and then like, hey man, I got something, something. I'm gonna kick some ass. That's how you do, right? It's like that's the plan. But in Japan, that's from us that always consume Western storytelling. It's so different because it's like he's nobody. Is of course because he's nobody, but he's Gambateru was like I'm gonna do some stuff, and then it was he beat up, and
Mm.
but he stand back up again, and that's how it is interesting for
But
us
isn't
to
that only
see.
true of
So
shonen? Is, isn't that mostly true
not
of
not
shonen?
really.
No,
really,
you think it's
not
true
really.
everywhere? Okay, talk to me about that. Tell me about
I
that.
It's
Yeah, I think personally that great storytelling is international.
Mm.
Great
Yeah.
storytelling is intercultural. And what Oni-chan mentioned, it's in English it's called the hero's journey.
Right.
It's
okay.
it's something that we have seen for ages, and that got mainly popularized because of my absolute king, J.R.R. Tolkien. He was the one that made it that mainstream, that hero's journey. But it's something that we have been seeing in multiple cultures. But it doesn't only need to be about that. What I find very interesting in Asian storytelling is the intricacies that it has, because a story, it's not only one genre, and it makes me. I think that for me, that's what called me so much to Asian media in general, is that their stories are not solely one toned. And I think it's also one of the reasons why I personally like older, like the darker DC comics and the darker Marvel comics, because it tells a story that we understand more. Yes, okay, it's a shonen, but there's not only action. There's sad moments, there's comedy moments. Even in shoujos that I read, there was stuff like that. There was random comedic breaks. There were very depressive parts. There were parts not only about the love part, but about these characters' life and about them growing as a person and learning how to love. Because that's what I saw shoujo as, is a story of learning how to love, learning what romance is. So I think that's what's so intricate specifically about Asian storytelling, that was not as big in the West but has always been really big in Asia, is that a story is not only a singular line. It's multiple lines meeting to
Converging.
make, exactly, to make that something.
Yeah.
So I see it a lot as that.
So what I'm hearing is like a fusion sort of Andi's point and your point, Lupa, which is it doesn't matter what the context is. You're starting from zero. It could be in love. It could be in work. It could be in a passion or a pursuit. What matters is the hero's journey and that process, and why it might be appealing to some more people. At least this is what I'm hearing. It may not be true, but I can at least say that this is true for me. Like, I'm not interested in Superman. Like, the Ubermensch, he's already perfect. What's interesting about someone who's already perfect? Not much for me personally.
I wanted to bring that point up because the example I wanted to give of a great work is One Punch Man. Because One Punch Man is Superman. One Punch Man is
why
amazing.
Is it interesting?
But why is because he's pathetic. Because he's pathetic. What's so interesting is because this dude is pathetic, because it makes sense, because he's like, I'm so strong that I'm bored. I don't have anything fucking else to do. Like, everything that excites me is the fact that there's a promotion on Thursdays for crab at the local
Which is how
seafood store.
Superman should feel. If I was Clark Kent and I could defeat anybody, I'd be like, bro, I don't care. Darkseid is coming again. He's always here. I'll take care of him. What I'm really concerned about is this Tuesday taco special in Logan Square. It only happens once a week, and it's my favorite place to go. And you're absolutely right, Lupa. That is a relatable emotion. It's a human emotion. Clark is not human.
Exactly.
Go on, Andi. Were you going to say something?
No. This is what you said. You just said human emotion, because that's what at the end of the day, how can we relate to the character, right? It's how relatable we are. Into it's easier to dive into the story if we can relate to certain characters, right? It's how it is.
Yeah, we can find someone, we can say, oh, that's me for real, kind of, right?
Yeah.
To the
Go on,
degree,
Andi.
yes.
Go on.
Yeah, that's
Finish
what
your
it
thought.
is. No. And that's why it's like to relate to a character, because like if it's too perfect, it's not relatable. It's God. It's like, as this, I'm a glorious American values. Like, hey man, come on, man. If you are too strong, you're not gonna care about that shit. You know what I'm saying? But again, this is why the Saitama's character is very, very good. Right? It's like, hey man, I'm too strong. I gotta need to do something that excites me. Like you said, that's it. So to be able to relate to this
not only am I
emotion,
too strong, I'm so strong that I'm lonely and I'm alienated and I'm bored. It's not just I'm bored. It's I don't have anyone to connect with, because I'm just on such a level that it's just like And I don't live on a godly existence. I still live with humans. So and because I'm human, I still need to connect with others. That's not a story you see it fleshed out. Sometimes you see it in Superman, but not really. So
No.
I think
Yeah.
also the fact that you know, American comics are always the same characters, but different versions of them written by different people.
right.
And sometimes these people are making amazing works, but they're not allowed to fully flesh out characters because suddenly their run is cut short. I want to give a big example of one of my favorite works, which was the work of I think it was a Marvel piece of comic that it was the Hulkling that he gets married to. Yeah. It was the whole pinnacle of homosexuality in like a comic, and I was very happy because like, hey, LGBT representation, whoop, and then it got cut short. They got pulled back because the company was like, nope, you're not allowed to do this anymore. That's it. Like I think
Hulking and Wakan.
And I do
Wakan.
and I do
Yeah.
wanna ask Waki-san about this in specific, because Waki-san works in the industry of making these stories, for games and stuff. And I do want to ask her because I also continuing on this same thing, and I think it might further the conversation as well. But Waki-san, do you feel like that's something that for your job, even in the small loot boxes that you make, that's something that you have to keep making, like that type of story, that it has to be connective, that it has to be something that your audience can like, hey, I can understand this, hey, I can see this, there is a bigger connection. Is this something that you are like focused, and it's something that you have any influence from in doing? Because you work directly on that part of the industry, so it's an interesting thing to ask.
なんかね、共感を、その漫画のね、ポイントとして、なんでそれが人々をこんなに魅力、ね、熱狂させるか。やっぱり共感するところじゃないかなっていうので、バキさんのお仕事では、ユーザーからの共感を得れるような作品作りを意識することがあるのかとか、意識してどういうふうにするのか。
特にアニメーションはね、ドラマとかはもうちょっと違うんだけれども、アニメはまずキャラクターをどういうキャラクターで好きになってもらうかっていうのがすごい大事で、おまけにどういう人たちに見てもらうかっていうのもすごく大事で、だから見る人のことをものすごく考えてキャラクターを作っているのよ。で、もちろん漫画の原作があるんだったら漫画のファンがいるから、ね、そこから、エッセンスを引き上げればいいやって思うかもしれないけど、でも、やっぱ漫画とアニメって別で、漫画のファンがアニメを受け入れるかって言ったら、それもわかんないわけで、そういうところでね、なんかちょっと、漫画インダストリーとアニメインダストリーって重なるんだけれども、でもちょっと違う。でも、アニメーションを作る人たちが、まず気にするのは、キャラクターを好きになってもらうこと。で、そのキャラクター、主人公だよね。メインロールのね、主人公とその周りの人たちに、すごく感情移入してもらえるようなバランスで、キャラクターメイキングをします。まずこんなとこまでかな。
So Rupa asked, how when the Waki-san makes the scenario, the script for her game stuff, she care about, users' opinion or stuff. And she said, yes, she cared. She created characters thinking of the users, what kind of character they like, the tendencies she studies, then make character, because it's really important. And sometimes she has to write a story based on manga, comic. So there are certain fans already among those, the manga reader stuff. Then she has to make it into the game. That time she has kind of, hard time because, the user of game user, gamer, and manga reader, they have different tendency, what they like. So, she has to kind of convey, convert the character
That's a
into,
very good example was
the
there, that
game-oriented
Chainsaw
character,
Man.
those stuff.
Muzakashi desu ne.
Chainsaw
Yeah,
Man is
that's a very
really good
challenging.
example of this one. Yeah. Because
Okay.
the 原作のファンの人たちがアニメを評価してないの
Why is
ね。
it a good example,
だけど
Waka-san?、
アニメがものすごいよくできてるのよ。技術的にも、今までのアニメーションを作る上での、それもテレビアニメーション、劇場版じゃないよ。テレビアニメーションを作る上での、ものすごい、今までにないほどのリソースをそこに割いてるのね。で、それも作り方がものすごくユニークで、制作会社が一社提供してるって普通ありえないの。いろんな会社が制作委員会っていうのを作って、で、お金集めて作るんだけども、マッパっていうね、一つの制作会社がすべての権利を全部持って作って、で、今いろんなね、そのチェーンソーマンに関するいろんな、もうアドバタイズもそうだし、例えば、ちっちゃい、なんだろうな、よくあるじゃん、ステッカーとか、ね、いろんなもの、ちっちゃいもの、グッズを売ったりとか、ネット上での、なんだろうな、ミーム作っていいよみたいなやつも全部制作委員会となくて、マッパが一つの男がやってるっていう、ものすごい力の入れようで、アニメーションとしての出来も良かったし、オープニング、エンディングもものすごい話題になったにもかかわらず、原作のファンはアニメーションを、評価しないわけじゃないけど、ちょっと距離を取ったのね。だけど、アニメのファンはものすごい、うわーすごいねっていう風になってるわけ。で、作ってる方もすごいね、真面目に作ってるんだけども、どちらかというと、原因が一つあってね、監督がインタビューを受けたんだけれども、チェーンソーマンの、放送前に、彼はものすごく、普通の映画が大好きで、で、その映画に寄り添う形で、なんだろう、アニメとか漫画をね、ちょっと下に見るような言葉、ワードチョイスをしちゃったのよね。で、それがちょっと原因かなっていうのはある。だけど、原作のファンは原作を愛していて、でも漫画なんじゃない、アニメを作ったその監督がね、そんなこと言うからだとは思うんだけれども、ちょっとね、ちょっと漫画の原作のファンとアニメのファンと、ちょっと隙間が空いちゃってるっていうのはある。ここまで。
Okay.
ごめん。
Tomomi, take it.
Gracias. Gracias.
Wait a bit, I took the memo. Yeah. So Waki-san said so about the Chainsaw Man, she said, she heard that the manga of the Chainsaw Man fans, they didn't really appreciate the animation in the beginning. The production of the animation is Mappa. Of course, it's a big giant company, right? And Mappa has all the right to produce it.
Right.
Usually the animation is made by a production committee, 制作委員会. So with several companies joined together, right? But, the Chainsaw Man, this is a really unique method. Only Mappa has all the right to make this.
Wow.
And they created, of course, Mappa made a really wonderful piece of work, right? But, the manga fan was, wasn't happy so much. They wanted it and they really, think it's good, but, there are some conflict there. And one reason of that, Waki-san said, the director of Chainsaw Man animation, he was really a big film fan, like live action fans. And he said something like, he said as if he kind of looked down animation stuff. So maybe that's one reason caused the conflict among the manga fan and animation fans. That's what Waki-san said.
That's unfortunate to hear because I'm going to be honest with you. I love the manga. I've read Chainsaw Man since its premiere in December years ago, way back when, and I think the animation was great. I mean, there's a scene that's not included in the manga where what's his name? The young guy with the sword, with the single strand of hair, like tied up.
Aki.
Aki-san. So there's a scene.
Right?
There's a scene.
Kon.
Yeah, Kon. Exactly. Yeah, Kon. Yeah. So there's a scene where they're just going. He's just going through his morning routine, and it's very methodical. He's doing laundry. He's making coffee. He is, and he's making coffee in a very particular way. This isn't just instant coffee. He's very particular about it, right? And he's smoking a cigarette while drinking the coffee, while reading a newspaper on the balcony. A lot of people don't know this. That wasn't in the manga at all. And the whole scene is quiet. He doesn't say a word the whole scene. And I think it was one of the most masterful things I've ever seen in anime, because I learned so much about Aki. Imagine if I didn't read the manga. That scene, as a manga reader, I can see Aki doing that every morning, not talking to anybody and doing everything perfectly every single morning, because that's his personality type, right? Smoke a cigarette, read the newspaper, make my goddamn coffee perfectly. I'm getting whatever laundry needs to be done, it's done, right? Everything's perfect. And when I see choices being made, like, shout out to whoever pushed for that, because I'm sure that was a fight in the production studio. Shout out to whoever pushed that through the studio, because I really do think it revealed something that you can only get in an anime and that you couldn't have gotten in the manga. And then it's a very special way that hits you pretty hard. So it's kind of sad to hear that, because if anything, I didn't feel that when I watched the anime. What I felt was someone, at least from the director's role, and maybe the director didn't write this scene, maybe somebody else pushed for this scene. I felt somebody who loved the anime so much, they were willing to push for scenes that helped drive their understanding. The only way you can push that scene is if you understand the manga. That's the only way you can write that scene. That's the only way.
Is if you understand Aki, because that scene, it's Aki. It's Aki. And I do want to mention something very, very funny. Because, well, it's funny to me at least. So Chainsaw Man did cause a lot of ruckus in Japan when it comes to that. And Oliver, it was so big that I was on Twitter when this happened, that people were signing a petition for the anime to be remade. And this was not Westerners, this was Japanese fans signing a petition for the anime to be remade by another animation company. They were like, MAPPA is not doing this right. Make someone else do it.
What do you want? What do you?
You know what's hilarious to me is that at the same time that was happening, a massive problem was happening with the dubbing in my country. And I know because 3 days after that happened, I met one of the major dubbing actors for this project in the convention that I was helping to organize. I was actually the head of the committee not the committee, but I was put in charge of him during this thing. And it was massive because like Waki-san said, like the manga was incredibly popular, and Chainsaw Man was one of the first manga that was really popular in the West, even before it was animated. But what happened here in Brazil was that the first translations of Chainsaw Man of the manga were done by a joking scans group. So we call them scanlations, by the way, for Tomomi-san and Waki-san. You guys probably don't know, but it's a mix between scan and translate. So scanlations, you scan a manga, you clean it properly, you do all the work, and then someone translate it. I did this from the age of 14 to the age of 20. I helped in doing this. It's illegal work, but it's what keeps us Western fans going while we get no official translations. The first translation of Chainsaw Man was done by a group that was awful. They put multiple, and they didn't tell people that this was a joke translation. So there were multiple racist, sexist, and homophobic jokes thrown throughout the whole manga. And until like I think 20 or 25 chapters in, when another group was like, this is not right, and they started translating, that things got set right. But some very specific lines from that joke translation got really turned into really big internet memes here in Brazil. And then when the anime went out, and right as that whole thing was happening in Japan, a fight was happening here in Brazil while the dubbing was being done, because they wanted a very specific phrase from this joke translation to be put in the official dubbing, but they didn't, because like, we're not going to give credit to this escalation team that is racist, sexist, and everything. We're not going to be doing that. So it was very interesting to me how this anime caused so much ruckus in Japan and in the literal other side of the world, literal 12-hour distance, how in the same week the fandom in both sides of the worlds were going on absolute arms. And like, the dude that was translating this, his name is Guilherme Briggs. He is one of the biggest dubbing artists here in Brazil. He's the dubber for Superman. He is amazing, awesome. One of the nicest dudes that I have ever met. He's also the dubber for Brook now, the new Brook in One Piece. Nice. Dude is amazing. Yes, this is amazing. He's super gentle. Guilherme Briggs.
Shout out to you,
shit out of that dude.
Yeah.
Guilherme is amazing. It's Guilherme, you know, like Guilherme Briggs. But Guilherme is amazing, and he got bullied the hell out of in the internet because of the dubbing of this anime. Meanwhile, the director of Chainsaw Man was receiving awful levels of bullying as well, and I'm like, what is going on with this fandom?
This is why people.
It was wild to be on both sides of it.
I'm so sorry, dear. Finish what you were saying.
No, but like, it was wild to be on both sides, and
see that.
I think I know what you were gonna say. Yeah, I think I know what you were gonna say. This is the reason why authors often don't have Twitter, or why they don't show their faces.
Why would you?
Especially why nowadays, a lot of them have. Dude, I just discovered that I think it wasn't Gogo. I think it's the maker of Baki. His daughter is also a mangaka. I forgot what manga she makes, but they're completely different.
Yeah. No, go on.
But but she had her face covered and nobody knew. She was like, yeah, because I know that if people knew, people were going to put too much expectations on me. And if I didn't fill them, just like my dad did, I was going to get bullied the fuck off. So I was like, you know what, girl, I understand you.
And that's such a weird thing that like, cause like American fans are crazy, but we're not burning an animation studio down crazy. Which no offense to
Kyoto.
No offense to the Japanese listeners. We're still crazy. We'll shoot up elementary schools. That's what we do. But we're not burned down the thing that we love, right? Like that's the thing we don't do. No disrespect.
Shit,
no disrespect.
So dark,
it's
so
it's just so. I'm serious. Like and I think it's important to mention, like, because I think it's important for fans to remember, like, these are people. One of my favorite authors is a woman who writes a shonen called The Gray Men, and people harass her for not getting her stuff out. She's sick, deeply. Like, not like I'm not feeling good. Like, I think pretty sure she has a terminal illness. So like go easy on these people. They're human beings. Oda-san had to be forced by Shonen, like, and this is Shonen Jump, by the way, the slave factory. Shonen Jump forced him to take the weird 3-week, 1-week pattern that he has off now, because he'd have died. He couldn't have functioned. So I get really sort of upset and sort of passionate about these things, because it's like, unless you've made something in your life, you really don't get it. You really don't get it, and you really are lacking respect for just how much it takes to create. I mean, forget One Piece, forget Chainsaw Man. Just a small thing that's on your own, how much work that takes. It's a lot of work, and I hope people when they hear this they realize that there is a degree of respect that you just have to have. This is I kind of want to pivot because I don't want to get too Basil preachy angry. I want to know, now that we've sort of discussed these things, is how do you, with all these things we've discussed, how do you think the anime industry can continue to sort of innovate and push boundaries, especially in terms of the storytelling we've just discussed, the artistic styles that and artistic decisions we've discussed, and still while also meeting these new demands of a global audience that we've mentioned before, from the strange dubbing in Portuguese to the dissatisfaction Japanese fans might have with a particular studio? It's a complex question, but I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on it.
Okay, that's basically, well, first you need to understand now almost all studios in Japan is overcapacity on producing content. Like, because Netflix demands, any other shit's demands so big, they don't sleep, boys. They don't sleep. My friends only have 1 day off. Like, they like been working from like 9 to 11 or 9 to 2 o'clock, and they take their work home. So basically, if you're producing, they're producing a lot. But the thing is changed, is like you say, the global audience problem, right? And rival, because like Lupa said, hey, these games are already absorbed by any other country, and they absorb it, and they gonna do it by themselves, because they any other country have the interesting story to tell too. And now they learn from Japan how to spit out good story that will be listened by every world, more, generally accepted in the world. So that's the game that Japan need to understand. But this is also, interestingly enough, need to be understand by the Japanese audience also, that not used to be, Japanese audience always, because Japanese industry target only Japanese audience originally.
Yeah.
But today they understand now. Oh, we have bigger fish in the market, right? I'm gonna expand. But Japanese audience doesn't understand this. It makes ruckus a lot. This is happening in this group actually, when Waki-san very complain a lot about Bleach only, aired in Disney Plus to a degree, right? Uh, I think this is the first time Japanese person facing a problem about Hoso or broadcasting problem. I don't. You don't do this. You don't do this. Hey man. Hey, I just like being an a-hole right here to Wakisan. Hey Wakisan. Hey, come to the big boys problem. I think Bass, me, and Lupa. These are our James shit every day. I mean, if we are a broad anime lover, this is our hustle every day to get anime seen. If we want to watch anime, we are goddamn hustling in the internet. Where I gotta go? I gotta pirate them. You know what I'm saying? I hate so much back in the day. You need to. There's 3 way back in the day. Like for me, like 3 way. You need to contact some Japanese random dude, and they're gonna send you VHS. If you know, I don't know, Lupa, if no, you know VHS. They're gonna record some anime in the VHS, and we watch from that one. And the other one's like the newer generation. You're gonna download from other translation, fans translation. That's how it is. And interesting enough, now Japanese see these injustices, that I cannot watch the thing that's supposed to be in TV. Why? And it's a really really interesting dynamic that industry faces. Right now, I have a broad audience, but I need to explain to my local audience how we play the game now. This is very interesting now, because not only the story changed, because adapt a story that a
Very
new
interesting.
Gundam I told you, right, using a female protagonist, and it's basically low key lesbian kind of things. But Japan doesn't
Yeah.
say LGBTQ out loud, but we know what we know. So basically, it turns out I think it's triggered uh, to more broader audience in the whole world. But again, Japan need to adapt, because they still think their main audience is Japan. So we need to, you
Mm.
know, give the food for everybody and how feel it is a very Japanese business thing. Safe.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm, mm.
You need to be safe. So
Yeah, do you get, yeah. Mm-hmm.
you cannot be
Go ahead.
claimed.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
So
Tomomi-chan. Unless you, Dika, did you want to wrap up?
No,
no, I
I wanted to say I really agree, to Andika, because, like the growing the population, the fans, right? And I think Japanese animation company kind of changes, their selling direction of selling their product to foreign. Before, like they are only concentrating Japanese market,
Mm,
but now their eyes on the foreign, right? But the actual people making their animation, they are mostly Japanese, right?
mm,
So the key to solve this, they can hire or add more foreign creators, right?
mm, mm.
People from overseas to their actual site of production. That will solve a lot of problem here, I think.
not really, Tomomi. Sorry to disagree
No?
about that because I'm in the middle of that, right? So this is funny thing about that.
Oh.
Yes, it's true. Yes, it's true. Like Lupa said, Tomomi said, lots of Japanese recruits abroad, animator toka, lots abroad creative, but it's still under supervisory of Japanese director. One, and the
True.
second stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you need to have translation when you have a meeting and direct what should the animation way you want to do, and this is very hard because sometimes I see like uh, a bad translation make them redo all animation sets because it's
Oh,
it,
really?
Wow.
because it, because it's done by Gaikoku Jing, right? So the translator
Mm-hmm.
makes a miss, and that they need to redo
Mm-hmm.
some scene that it's not the director thing. No. This is not what not what I tell him before. So this is kind of problem that Japan face right now because I told you before they're like in the super maximum
Yeah.
capacity and they like calling all the people from
Mm-hmm.
around the world, outsourcing the staffs. But again, it's face problem
Mm-hmm.
because Japan to a degree not ready to have those international division, and it's really interesting, I guess.
Japan
Yes,
is too homogenous for that.
yeah, I mean, yes, now Japan's starting to change, but it's again, it's very Japanese things. I'm sorry, you guys, Japanese, I love you guys, but I gotta say the facts. They they change really slow while the demand coming really fast. That's the
Right.
current Japanese
Mm-hmm.
problem, but it is changing. This is changing. It's better than like 6 years ago. I mean, now you can see like
He is a
representation to a degree and lots of director or animation like Soejima-san toka. They try to. Can I tell this story? Because again, Japanese things they don't want to be wrong and doesn't want to put disrespect, so they're very afraid to be wrong. So before he launch or he or she launch a story, they wanna kakunin or confirm. And this process, if you were ever in business with the Japanese, god dang, so long. God dang, so long. Dang, so long. I work as bankers. I work as nandake, uh, analyst, and I have Japanese clients. This kakunin process or checking with the boss upstairs with the dinosaurs
Mm-hmm.
taking ages, and this is
Oh yeah.
actually the same problem that Japanese animation industry has because again the head it's still the old man in their 70s, and that's how the dinosaur problems. So that's my piece.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're
Yeah.
saying is that it's even with these sort of new creators, there's still. I mean, there's a word for this in the West, the Japanese wall. So I live in a I live with a lot of expats or an area with a lot of expats from the U.S. Right, and these are guys usually worth like I'm the poorest guy in my group, everybody's worth at least $1 million. At least $1 million is like, it's like, what are you doing? And what's interesting is that every one of those dudes is like when you ask them, it's like, all right, where would you live if you weren't here? They'd be like, oh, Dubai. Well, actually, I wouldn't want to live in Dubai. I live in Japan, number one. Well, I'm like, well, why don't you want to live in Japan? Right? Like, we'll be smoking. Well, I'll be at a cigar lounge. We'll be smoking cigars, and I'll ask them stuff like this, and they'll say, well, the reason why we don't want to live in Japan is because it's just too hard to do business. It's not because they don't like the people. It's not because they don't like the language. It's not because of the difficulties behind that. It's really just when it comes to business, there still seems to be a huge challenge. And it's not because of people like you guys, right? Or young Japanese people, right? Who are being raised, who are kind of starting to see the light. I think it's just how do you say the old guard in Japanese? The old guard, the old.
It's the obachans and the and stuff. Like it is the older generation.
It's not the obachans. These are dudes. Let's be honest. These are Japanese.
Oh yeah, it's not obachans. It's the how do you say grandpa again?
Oji-san.
Oji-chan.
Yeah, the Oji-san.
Oji-san. Yeah, like it's the Oji-chans and stuff.
Yeah. So.
But funny, right? Is this, from my perspective, a long longevity of age in Japan? It's become the finest gift and the biggest curse, because this guy not dead yet until 90.
Yep.
So the power change.
Yep.
So the power change.
If you're lucky, right? If you're lucky, I think the average is like above 90. So you got
yeah.
Because so when every
the whole
country
thing is
wrap up on Andy, wrap up Andy, and then we'll go jump to Lupa.
So basically, when every country start to change the power dynamic, when the leader hit like 50 or 60, like, okay, change generation, next dude. And in Japan, it's like you need to reach like 80 or 90, and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna live it. And then while the other country is like already, well, rapid changes, like in the 60, touch button, next generation, come on. And that's why it's like I told you before, the longevity of life in Japan might be its biggest gift and the goddamn worst curse.
Interesting. Go on. Because of memes is what you're saying.
Memes.
Did you say gifts or gifts?
Gifts. Yeah. The biggest gift.
Presento.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, got it.
Biggest gift.
Gracias.
And the worst curse. That's
gotcha.
Yeah, it's like a curse.
Gotcha. What were you gonna say, Loops? Thank you, by the way, Dika.
The problem is, and mind you, this is a conversation that a lot of young people are having recently as well. The problem is not being old. The problem is that these people are old and stagnate. They do not accept change.
Correct.
Because I have known a lot of older Japanese people. Hey, we have someone that is very often in our chats. We even call him Otosan, by the way. He's very often in our chats, and he is an older person, and he's always very open to talk about new things and new changes. The problem is these men on top of these companies, and this is not only the animation industry, this is in the manga industry, this is in the movie industry, this is in general in various industries. That's the problem.
In Japan,
they're stagnant.
In Japan, yes, yeah. And America.
In Japan, and even in some other, yes, even here in South America, dude, like us as Latinos, let's not lie that we have this culture of shame around the elders, that the elders are always right, and whatever they say, even if you know they're wrong, you just shut the fuck up, you put your head down, and you say yes, that's right, because you don't want to get beat. If abuela says it's right, it's right.
Yeah,
I
think it's different though. The reason why I say it's a little bit different is because your abuela could like someone old, an older engineer can come to me who works under me but they'll report to me. What situations in Japan is an older person reporting to a
Is
younger person? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I think
very.
that
And there's a whole shame of it as well, mind you. Like if there is someone younger than you in a higher
Right.
position, I've heard online that some of these people are bullied for having a younger person. Oh, this guy's younger than you and already rose in the company, and you
Right.
have been here for years and
Right.
haven't.
Right. So
And you know, it's the stagnant. It's the stagnation. You know,
that is
it's
the big
they
thing.
don't
Yes.
you know, it worked for, you know, my father that was the owner of this company in the 50s, the 60s, 70s, the 80s, and it worked for him then. So why should I change it? And if I change it, isn't it disrespectful to him because he did it? Like Dika-san explained this to me way earlier. Like way back, like right when we started, he was like, "Yeah, this is the Japanese dinosaur problem. That it's not even that the old people from now are stagnant. They're stagnant in methods even older than them because they're afraid of disrespecting the ancestors that passed away that did things those way,
Right.
like that way.
Even
So
though their
it's
economy is going by the waist, and they're losing rank. Yeah. No.
exactly.
So
So it's
Yeah, but it depends. It's changing slowly.
it is.
It's really slow change. But I can say,
I
like I have, several people working for me, and sometimes they are older than me. That's totally, fine. And there is more like an
Yeah.
equal relationship. Doesn't matter your title. What you can do matters. Like, society is changing. So
the thing
I
that
feel like
actually
the
gives
younger
me hope,
generation in Japan
real
is
quick, I just want to
it's being
say,
very loud.
I just want to say real quick, the thing that gives me hope, honestly, are people like Soejima and Goda-san. Goda-san especially, because I know him very intimately, or I know now I definitely do. Like there's people like that out there who are in high positions who can really make changes. And that's what I'll be to Tomo's point. So we don't, it can't all be doom and gloom. There are people out there
Hmm.
who come to your guys' room who want to learn. They're like, I want to hear what these what people outside of Japan think. What do you think? How do you think I should innovate? Even the questions Goda-san will ask me, I'm surprised. I'm like, what is it? Who cares, dude? I'm just some compared to you. Like in my head, like you're a god. Why would a god ask me anything? So there is some hope. I agree, Tomo.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The younger Japanese generation is very outspoken. I feel like they're speaking out a lot more, and that's very good. It means that in some years, when they're the older generation in high positions, they will probably be more open to more things and to innovation. You know, it's hoping for change. I think in general in all industry, it's just hoping for change, and it's
No, it
coming.
It's
is.
coming.
It is
That's
It's
change.
coming.
It is change. It is change because as I experienced as a teacher in Japan, I mean, your image of Japan always like you cannot speak English well or something like that. Hey, bro, that's one thing that make me gobsmacked. I thought I came for
Yeah.
easy job, right? I gonna came in, teach English and ABC, A for apple, B for ball, you know what I'm saying? And turns out, Sensei, what in very good English, Sensei, what do you think about the impact of globalizations in Japan and how us as a Japanese needs to react to this?
Mm.
And
bro.
I mean, by that question,
Shout out to
I
that
mean,
kid.
hey, come on. I mean, give me back my easy money, man. Yo, what's this? What, you know,
I don't want this. Didn't sign up for this
I'm
shit.
I'm not coming for this, and that's what I know. So basically,
It's
uh,
like you're embarrassing me,
again,
man. What are you doing right now? Like
yo, it's
shut
like
the
I thought
fuck
it's gonna be
up.
easy, right?
Like,
Exactly. So I
yeah.
guess I just can't wait for this the newer generations of Japan taking over on how they're doing business because got smack and some of them is like, where are you now? Oh, I'm in America in Silicon Valley. They are working in the anime industry, right? You moved to Silicon Valley
Yep.
for anime. Hey man, Sony is here, so I'm here. Like,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So basically,
If I was still in
they
Silicon
just
Valley,
there.
I would have met up with Goda-san, because Goda-san is in California all the time.
Yeah, Cali.
Yeah.
He's always in
So-
Cali. He loves Cali. I guess he loves the Cali vibes. Lots of creative
Well, he's
people in
business
Japan
there.
end up in Cali.
He's a business that he does business there. That's why with creative
Yeah, I mean,
companies.
no,
So,
not only go there,
yeah.
right? Lots of
Yeah.
Japanese
True.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Japanese
That's true.
creative
That's true.
Mhm.
that
They are kind of escaping from Japan, right? They want to
Yeah.
escape from the old, the land of the sun. Like they want to, create. They want to be creative in a free land, kind of, right?
Exactly. And seriously, bro,
That's
if you don't know all the director level or producer level that actually like shining bright of Japan now, either they are in Cali or Los Angeles. Believe it.
Hey, everybody. That was Raisin Bread Podcast. Thanks for joining us. If you guys want to learn more about the AGNs, the Anime Girls Network, check out their Clubhouse. If you want to listen to more videos like this one, click on one of the links I pointed to, and look forward to an interview with Soijiba-san, the art director behind the infamous JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the lovely, the ethereal, the just downright god dang beautiful Momo Chan is
What
going to be
happened to
helping me
him?
out on that one
He's
as
on
well.
pause.
So
No idea. He cut off.